Eric. Where is Uncle Eric? Years ago, Brandon was approximately, 14, 15, 16 years old. I can't remember. In that probably young high school, late junior high. Probably 15, 16 years old. So each year, back then, each year we would go down to Moab with Uncle Eric. And Eric was fun to be with. We had a great time. And we would go to this place called Dump Bump. This place was Moab. And at Moab, there was a place called a hill where the guys would climb with their trucks. It was called Dump Bump. And it looked, basically, they would just set up, people would turn their lights on, and it was this big, huge rock, and people would, crawl in against it, bump against it, and then try to crawl up and over it. It was called Dump Bump. Well, anyway, there's always people getting drunk. There's all kinds of stuff going on. I remember, the police would always come and kind of monitor it, make sure things were going okay. The police were always there watching over it and seeing what was happening. And sometimes it got kind of out of control. People would do stuff that were stupid, so they'd shut it down. But anyway, the one kid comes over and he bumps up against it with his back of his truck, and they're like, "Hey, your bumper's falling off, you're bumping." He goes, "Oh, it doesn't matter, it's my brother's truck." And there was people drunk all over, and then I'd get up there and I'd say something and mouth off and goof around, and the cops thought they didn't think it was me. They thought it was one of the other kids, just goofing around. But anyway, so what happened, something inappropriate happened there while we were at Dump Bump, and so the cops shut it down. Oh, boo, boo, boo. All the people were ticked off, but all the cops just, they put all their lights from all their cop cars onto the Dump Bump area. And so everyone was dispersing and leaving, like, whatever, man. They headed out down to the city, and they were all leaving in their Jeeps and their trucks and everything. And pretty soon, I look up, I'm by a bush, by a kind of a tree bush, and I look up and I hear this, "Eric, Eric." And I'm like, Brandon is acting like he's drunk. Now, he wasn't drunk. He didn't drink, at that point. He was just acting like he was drunk. Standing literally just below Dump Bump in the sand, like on the stage like a stage of a play. "Eric, Eric, Eric." And he was just acting kind of weird, like, "Where's Eric? Eric, come and help me," And he was just playing it up, and these cops were all watching him, and he just kept acting like he was kind of staggering a little bit and walking around. And Eric, Eric is my brother-in-law, and we were laughing. I was like, oh man, how am I going to explain to my wife that Brandon got thrown in jail for acting like he was drunk? Anyway, I was actually a little nervous, but I couldn't do anything about it because what was going on was going on. So anyway, the cops were just keeping their eye on him, and he was the only one there, and everyone else is trickling out of there. There's hundreds of people trickling out, but he's now on Dump Bump stage, and he's standing there, "Eric, Eric, Eric." Anyway, so finally, the cops weren't doing anything, so Eric walks past him, and he says, "You're going to need to fall if you're going to get any results from the cops, So anyway, Eric, and then he falls. Man, those cops are on him. Boom, they're on him. They pick him up, "Hey, what are you doing, man? What have you been drinking? What have you been taking, "Eric, where's Eric? Eric, help me, Eric." Anyway, and they're feeling his pockets for his wallet and trying to find out if he's got any drugs or alcohol bottles and things like that, And anyway, and then some kid comes out of the group there. Just the partiers came out, and they came out and said, "Hey, man," he was talking to the cops. "Hey, that's my driver. Yeah, you got to let him go because he's my driver." And they're like, "No, we're not letting him go." Anyway, he walks off, and I can't remember exactly how it all ended, but finally, I believe Eric, because they couldn't smell anything on Brandon and they couldn't tell what was going on, I think Eric finally went over and says, "Hey, Brandon, we need to go." And so they took Brandon and walked off with him, and then we started laughing. And the cop says, "Man, that kid's on something. I don't know what he's on, but he's messed up, And we couldn't stop laughing. That was a fun experience. I'm just glad he didn't get put in jail. And then I would have had to explain to Tammy how Brandon got put in jail and he wasn't even drunk. I don't know where he came up with acting like he was drunk on the stage at Dump Bump, but it was definitely a memorable experience.